Hi, this is Ed, and you're on Global TV Talk Show, and I'm actually in San Diego, not in Hawaii. However, I did take this picture. I shot this picture from the deck of our condo in a town called Kahana, which is in Maui, and just north of the Kanapali Beach area, section of the island called Kahana. It's very nice. Our program today is about Saenger Associates. That's Saenger. Gary Saenger is the founder and the CEO, and it is all about retained executive search. Now, this is not a hustler. This is a very serious, straight-laced business guy trained at the very highest levels of very large companies. And since I think it's 1999, Gary Saenger has had this company and has experienced tremendous success in finding and securing top tier C-suite type people for very large companies. I'm going to read a couple of things so you have an idea of what we're going to talk about. We're going to define what is retained executive search. It's about confidentiality because we're dealing with top tier people and big money and global reach. And so confidentiality is absolutely key. Okay, when should a company or a board use a retained executive search firm? What's the criteria for decisions? We're going to get into that. Also, what are the keys in choosing a retained search firm? In other words, what is a corporation or a board or C-suite looking for Gary to do? What are they looking at Gary to achieve that they can't do themselves or don't want to for some reason? He has expertise at this, and he's going to share that with us today, right here on Global TV. He's going to also talk about recent successes with clients, including, I'm going to read this, CHRO search. That's Chief Human Resource Officer for a very large company, $1.5 billion in sales. Looking for a product manager for a $100 million line and more. So we're going to be right back with Gary Saenger. Stand by. Aloha.
Aloha. How the heck are you?
Yeah, well, I'm good. Now, I'm not in Honolulu or Maui, but I did take this picture standing on the deck of our condo at the time in Kahana.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a real picture. And that's a real here, I'll get out of the way.
Yeah.
The rainbow. And yeah, anyway, that's great. We are now live on
You want me to put a jacket on for this? What do you think, Ed?
No.
No jacket?
No, we are live. You're in Hawaii here, so we're not going to need a jacket.
All right. So the purpose of this, just to be clear, since I've been screwing things up lately, I have these website topics that I sent to you in terms of what's executive search and retained search and all that stuff. Is that our topic, or do you have something else that you and I are just going to ramble on?
No rambling today. In fact, I just did a brief promo, an announcement of what we're going to be talking about.
Okay,
and
cool.
It's about yourself and the fact that you've been doing retained executive search for very large companies for a long time. I think it's 1999. And that means that you're a success and that you're a proven quantity in the eyes of very, very large corporations looking for C-suite top tier talent, and they retain you. It's not anybody else. So let's talk, Gary, now about Saenger Associates, real brief, and then get right into what is retained executive search, and what makes it different from others?
You've got a gap on your executive team. You have somebody that's announced they're leaving on your senior management team. Retained search is, I get to know you, your company, your organization, and we agree on what you're looking for to go fill one of those senior management or executive positions. It's retained, it's exclusive, it's confidential, and I'm only working with you. I'm your partner.
So this comes from the C-suite, the CEO, or even the board.
Correct. Correct. It
Right.
could come from a boss that says, look, my number two is has got to go. I've had it. I'm going to replace him or her. And Gary, let's talk about what it is we ought to find out there in the marketplace. How much you want to pay? Do you want to get in a relo into this terrible relocation question, especially if you're moving into that cheap place of Southern California or in the Bay Area? You know, you get the practical sides of those things, and except if you have the money of Ed Cohen, you in fact have to be very cautious about that.
Okay, now there's not a lot of people who are knocking on your door because, first of all, you're very expensive to hire, but second of all, they're coming for your expertise. You have a proven track record now for more than 20 years doing this thing, and that's why you're still around, and that's why you're bold enough to be a member of a global press club and want more out of yourself in terms of public speaking and performance on camera, reaching a bigger and broader audience. So I thank you for that, Gary.
Well, I'm honored, Ed, very frankly. I'm honored to be in your press club. Well, this is a privilege.
Thank you. So I'm on a membership drive now. I'm trying to get more members, but not too many, because I curate each and every member, just like we've done together over 20, 25 shows. But if I suddenly get 100 clients, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to hire someone, but first I'm going to have to train someone, and I might even have to hire you, retain your services to help me find the right one.
But
or
I'm
two
really
people.
expensive though, Ed. So, but we're quite good. And give me that 100 client problem. We'll figure it out. I can clone Ed a few times. I can clone Gary a few times. Heck yes, we'll be out there on that sunny beach right behind you.
It is real nice, and the water is about 80 or 85 degrees. Last time I was there, that's what I remember anyway.
Yep.
Okay, when should a company use a retained executive search firm?
Well, I think you should use it before you need it. I think you should start to get involved and get to know who you trust. You know, when I anticipate a number two or number three person to be retiring, don't wait until 2 weeks or 2 months that he or she's going to be gone. Get those relationships. Start to understand those that know your industry, maybe know your geography, maybe know your level that you're dealing with, and go check out a couple. Go call some of your buddies and say, who do you use? We had the really nice email today. It's from a gentleman that said, look, one of my vendors recommended you. He didn't tell me who it was, didn't tell me what part of the planet it was on, but one of my vendors recommended you because I've got an executive on my team that is going to be leaving. And can we book a call? Now that's beautiful when that happens. When in fact you're out keeping your network in your organizations, serving on your nonprofits, that's where in fact you keep your name in front of the executives.
Okay, this is really interesting to me. So what you're doing is networking at a superior level.
Networking with a purpose, right? I mean, I'm a one-trick guy. Our firm is, since 99, we are a retained headhunter. We do retained executive search, and that means we're exclusive, we're confidential, will partner with you, with your board, with the hiring manager. You make the rules, you define what's important to you. You may say, look, I think I'm going to expand into a particular geography, and maybe I find a company that's already strong there, and I go target that company to go find that executive. Succession planning is a big deal also. You're 55 perhaps, and you want to go hire somebody that's in their 30s or 40s, so you get another 10 or 15 years after that. Succession planning, you know, the background that you don't have now on your executive team, and maybe it looks very white, very male, very female, very old, very young. Maybe you want to have some diversity and differentiation as to who you purposely go out and look for.
Now, this person is not going to work remotely, right?
Depends. That's really a floating subject. You get some individuals that if they're going to head up national sales or, you know, some of the new product development or some of the new business development, if you're near a mid to large size airport, many of our clients will say, look, that's okay. Many will say, if we're making widgets, you better be here. And, you know, then the relocation has to happen. Professional services, again, more of those are in person. I think there's getting to be a little more adaptability in terms of what it's going to take to do the job, number one, but what's going to take for me to attract the right kinds of candidates. It's a big number to go out and spend 50, 100, 200 grand on a extensive relocation.
So let me ask you now about the board or the CEO calls you privately and quietly to come on in and have a talk in person to augment what has already gone on by phone or Zoom. And,
Yes, right.
you know, it's almost like being a clandestine operative for CIA, whereby you're going to come and you're going to look around and see how you're treated at the front desk and, you know, what goes on in the company. You're going to be looking for different culture signs, behavioral signs. And the person who's hiring you already knows that, or probably already talked to you about they want you to do that. And so it's almost like you're coming in not for the purpose at hand, but for some imagined other purpose. And then we're going to come into a private meeting and the door will be locked, no recording going on. And the leader is going to point out to you the characteristics of what they're looking for and what the responsibilities and going to outline to you confidentially some of the politics that are going on now and probably will be in the way, and they need to be dealt with. So that information will be shared, and that sets the table for your expertise, right?
Well, it could clearly be as simple as that. I could be there for another purpose in terms of a meeting. Oftentimes they might say, look, go get a hard hat on and let's go walk around. You know, tell me what you see, what you feel, and how does this all look to you? But that's pretty superficial. You know, sometimes if in fact there's any hint about that, you know, the meeting could be offsite without any risk that I might bump into somebody I might know, or somebody could blow the cover on this whole thing. But clearly, I don't want any surprises for the company and for the candidate, that candidate that's chosen. This is a two-way street. I don't want surprises on either side that causes one or the other not to trust each other. I don't want to have a surprise about what you have to fix, what you have to change, what you have to build. I don't want to have 3 months to say, look, this doesn't sound at all like what I thought I was getting into. So that's where the winner, both sides, you know, has to take charge.
So you're raising the bar, or they're raising the bar on you, and you're raising the bar on them as to what you think it will take.
That's the intent. And what I can bring to the party is, let's say they have in mind, just on the compensation for a moment, let's say they have in mind a 300K package, base and bonus, and plus that, then it's the stock or the long-term incentives. I have to be the voice of reality about what the market is. And they then are going to see what a dollar will buy. And we're going to find people at that target, below it, under it, or below it, above it, and at it. And you start to then say, hey, what makes sense? Budget, what makes sense? Experience. Is this guy or gal the person that can back up the boss of that job? Succession planning usually it puts itself into every search that we do.
So the CEO probably already has either some people in mind or some competitors who have key people that are visible, and or maybe know of companies in another country who are experiencing the same kind of thing that the current CEO imagines they're going to have to deal with, and that's why they're exercising this search.
That could happen. We start searches where the board is already aware of a person or two that they'd like to consider for it. They would ask us to then go out and comb the field, target some companies that they especially want to look at, make the compare contrast to who they think they know. Oftentimes when you're out there hunting, I always consider the market to be 80% of it passive. In other words, 80% of the people out there in executive positions, they aren't looking, they're not active, they're not out there looking at job posts, they're not out there listening to pitches, if you will. That's where we come in and find those, portray what the opportunity is, and in a confidential manner, show them what it is that this could possibly be for them. And do you want to talk? Do you want to chat?
So basically, you could be at a Chamber of Commerce event because you got nothing better to do, although that kind of an environment could be good for networking. And some CEO or some VP marketing or CHRO is giving a speech about future of work and the impact of AI on human resources. And nobody knows that you've already had a conversation and been retained to do an executive search, looking for somebody like that person who's given a speech on that topic now. And so you find a way to gin up a conversation with that person and say, hey, I'm a retained executive search guy, and I know somebody who might like to talk to you. Do you have any interest? Or something like that. I'm not asking for secrets here, but I would imagine I've seen that movie before.
First of all, the chamber probably wouldn't be where I would be networking, because 80–90% of those companies are really small. I'm focused on that 150K job and above. You get up into the $500,000, million range, et cetera. But for the person that is playing at that level, there's a retained search mantra of confidentiality. And we can talk without obligation. We can talk knowing that it's privileged. And if I'm exploring to go find this kind of a person, and he or she is this kind of a person, we'll find out quickly that there's not a combo there that would overlap, and we should pursue it. However, there could be, look, could we go have a coffee? I just would like to chat. I'd like to get to know you. And I oftentimes then would say, look, this isn't accidental. I was being on purpose. You're on my radar. I have a client that has this kind of a job, and I know a little bit about your background, Would you be open to talking?
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes that's theoretical, and other times, many times respectfully we'll say no. I'm not in a situation right now with family or with kids or just where my career is. We have a CEO search active today, and I had 2 or 3 private meetings with guys and gals that I know, and I couldn't get them interested because they had the right reasons on why they wanted to stay where they are right now, and I respect that.
Right, right. Okay, so let's talk about recent successes that you've had and the nature of that. If you can draw a picture, what's it look like when you have a success?
I really get off on the idea of winning a search, meaning I get the confidence in an executive or a board that says, Gary, you and your team, we want to entrust you with this search. So that gives me a rush. I'm a real jock, a real sports nut, and it lights up the scoreboard. Recent success, $1 billion+ home furnishings company. We've done business with them the last 15, 20 years. Private equity infusion here recently, and they were looking for a mid-level product manager of more than $100 million product line. They entrusted us with that particular search. We were successful in narrowing it down to 5 or 6. We got down to our final 2 or 3 candidates. The CEO was really active involved too, because he wanted to make sure he guards the gate as to who the middle management folks and the executives are that come in. And we were able to find that candidate that's got at least 2 or 3 more levels in her. She is local and she's got horsepower and she is just a ball of fire. So it was outstanding for us to land the deal, get her to say yes. She started a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, thank you. And in that same company, during this time frame, their head of HR left.
Oh.
That person endorsed us from the services we had provided in the past. And now we've gone through the same process and had a final candidate that was past tense, was serious about us, but then chose another opportunity because of a lot more money and a lot more equity play. We in the 11th inning came back, made a counter offer, rescued her from her making a mistake of a company that wasn't nearly as good as ours. The CEO endorsed the idea that we should put another bunch of money and incentives into this to get this person hired. She's accepted and she starts in 2 weeks. I couldn't be more excited. I love that.
That's very good. So now, as we come to a close here, tell me more about you and about your company. When I say tell me, you're talking to our global audience here, which is a mixed bag of people, for sure. But certainly there's C-suite people who our program is sent to.
A pleasure. I'm a farm kid originally from Idaho. I have a bad back to prove it because my father, who was wonderful, had his 2 slave boys. And we worked an awful lot. He insisted on both of us get an education. We did that, and we moved on and got out of the farming business and into the business. I founded Saenger Associates in '99, so we're approaching 25 years. I just simply don't give up.
You got to bring the crops in.
Well, you do, and
excuse me.
It's not an easy game either to land a candidate that you really think is a great fit. It's also very competitive as it relates to, landing the search. I have a fantastic team. Our research capacity, second to none. Our ability to communicate and stay in touch with candidates and make that happen is really unbelievable. So I am very pleased, very happy. I've been doing this now for nearly 25 years. And I'm passionate about this business. I'm passionate about serving that client. He or she makes the rules. I try to push back on those areas when it's not realistic or you can't be competitive at that particular level. But we're a partner. We're in that inner circle partner. We're working to try to give that boss a very difficult decision between A or B in terms of candidates. That's what we do. We influence then $100 million company, and this general manager is going to have half of it. We don't want a mistake to be made because you're messing up on $50 million worth of business, not the fee. Of course, that's the hard cost, but the long-term cost, you're making a very strategic investment.
So one of the phrases that I saw out there is something called industry verticals. What does that mean to you?
It means that across the horizontal side of it, our biggest emphasis is anything with companies that do manufacturing or operations, supply chain or engineering. The verticals we operate in, the biggest one would be anything to do with industrial products. Aerospace and defense would be 2. Number 3 would be consumer products. And then we do searches from time to time because of our relationships in technology and not-for-profit. So the verticals, where in fact we do more of our work, I would tell you industrial products is the biggest place that we play.
Industrial products means what? IBM kind of manufacturing?
No, you make widgets. You're out there
I
making
see.
widgets, you're making products, and that could be, from the big manufacturing parts of it. Of course, a lot of that is very similar into the aerospace and defense industry. We have some very wonderful clients in that area too.
So thank you, Gary Saenger, for giving me
pleasure.
this time here on Global TV Talk Show.
My pleasure.
And
Always.
I'll get you this program, and you could use it as you wish. And I'm going to also display it across the Global TV network, which means that more than 100,000 audience views are very likely over the next couple of months.
So you and I can get those 1,000 new clients, right? That's
well, I'm worried about getting 100 new clients.
Oh, 100. All right. No, dream small. That's okay. Ed, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So it's Saenger Associates, right? .com.
Correct. SAENGER Associates.com. We are located here in the Los Angeles area, and I happen to be an incredibly active Dodger fan.
Yeah.
I love UCLA basketball, UCLA softball. So those of you on the other side of the street, that's what makes it fun.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you again on Global TV. Thank you.
All right, Ed. Thank you. Take care.
And good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, this is Ed signing off. And I'm thinking about Maui, but I'm here in San Diego.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.